Hi, this is Alina Muller from the Boston Fleet, and you're listening to the Jocks and Jills podcast.
We are the Jocks and Jills podcast. I'm Julia Teixeira. This is Tessa and We are the official podcast of the PWHL. We're so excited to be hanging out with you today. We didn't have too many issues getting here, surprisingly enough, knowing us too. I don't know if you guys heard one of our first episodes of this season. We went to Minneapolis.
Yeah.
It's a very quick flight. We managed to make a mess of it.
We?
No, I did. I left my suitcase at the airport. It was a mess.
Julia decided to, first off, Julia's not a morning person.
Not a morning person. Don't talk to me before 8. It's
8
not my
a.m.
day.
Don't talk to Julia. She puts her bag through security, gets through security, and just makes on her way through the border crossing, basically. You left your bag there.
I left my bag in another country. It was a little bit weird. That all wound up just fine. And I made it here to Seattle with my bag.
Thankfully.
And then we got to Seattle. I was actually in the elevator this morning with Laura Stacy and Marie-Philippe Poulin. Can we hear a couple clips for those people? Love those ladies. The first thing they asked me was, what happened to Tessa's suitcase? I posted on my Instagram yesterday, Tessa's suitcase absolutely everywhere.
Listen.
There were gitch on the ground.
Okay. So we actually flew into Vancouver and then drove down here, all right? We'd stopped off reminiscing about some of my time in Vancouver, whatever. It was a ton of fun. We finally crossed the border. I forgot that I had opened my bag to get, I guess, some props out while we were in Vancouver. So we pull up to the hotel. Like, there's probably 8 valet men standing there. And they're like, oh, can I get your bag? And I'm like, don't carry my bag. I can carry my own bag. I was like, no. Pull my bag out, fully forgetting that it was wide open. My underwear, my bra, everything all over the ground. And the guys,
Jill?
My Jill, actually.
Your Jill was on the ground.
My Jill hit the ground. So they're all looking at me, and obviously I denied their help originally. So they're like, yeah, we are for sure not helping you now. Nonetheless,
The best part of the
gathered all my
video,
belongings.
I obviously filmed her when her bag exploded. The best part of the video, she goes, who opened my bag? It was you. It was absolutely you.
Yeah, I don't know. I still feel like that might have been a little bit of a play on your part,
Yeah.
but whatever.
Listen, you've spent more time in Seattle than me. This is my first time here. The rain is true, what they say about the weather, but what a city, Tessa.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
The drive.
What have you liked so far?
Honestly, the fresh air here feels a little different.
Yeah,
It hits different. I like it. The people have been so kind. Our Uber driver, Michael,
Super nice guy.
what a great guy. Everyone's been nothing but welcoming and fantastic to us. Minus the explosion of my suitcase, things have gone swimmingly since arriving.
And
this rink,
you know what I'm obsessed with about Seattle, right?
Sasquatches.
Guys,
Julia?
I did not realize that Washington State had the most Sasquatch sightings per capita. I might be staying here looking for the Bigfoot.
How do you confirm a sighting? Is my
If you see him, you see him.
so
believe.
so you can just say, like, for instance, you could add to the total and be like, I was in Seattle, saw myself a Sasquatch.
I'm a purist. I would never skew the stats.
I'm just saying, could someone do that, or does it actually have to be like video footage or a picture? How do you confirm a sighting?
I don't know. Mostly YouTube rabbit holes is where I cite the Sasquatch. Anyways, let's get in, Tessa, to what happened this week in the PWHL, and then we'll start teeing up today's matchup between Montreal and Boston, which should be a big one. Let's get into a game that Boston played earlier this week against Minnesota on Thursday. Took it all the way to OT. That was a big game.
Yeah, it was. Minnesota was shorthanded.
They've
in
been
that game,
shorthanded.
and even more shorthanded as the week's gone on. Matty Rooney was sick, was not in that game. So Minnesota having 3 reserve players on their bench. Rooney wasn't expected to be back until Saturday. Lucy Morgan, goaltender, signs a 10-day contract. She's from North Dakota, played in SLU, a little bit with the Gophers in her 5th year. I don't think she really expected to start, but inevitably later in the week, last night in particular, she did get her first start. And Charlotte Akravic was already in the lineup due to Sophie Jakes being out. But so Minnesota really buying into this next player up mentality. And you saw that in that game. Boston was pushing. Boston was giving it to Minnesota, but Minnesota found a way to really push back and get their own chances. They had the lead through this. Susanna Tapani was like, listen, this thing's going to OT or we're winning it. She threw the team on her back, scoring a couple goals for herself. She had a fantastic game. I love the way her game is shaping up. It's exactly what we expected to see from Susanna this season so far. Nonetheless, that thing going to OT and Britta Curl scoring the game winner.
Yeah, after that nasty slash.
So Britta Curl, obviously, now serving a suspension. You call it a slash? Was it a slash?
Sorry, it was a high stick.
Yeah, kind of a high stick. They called it a roughing. Nonetheless, it was fierce. It felt like that game was very physical and very chippy. And in that moment, you just got the sense that she'd kind of had enough. And I'm not talking like I'm bigger than that moment, because trust me, I have penalties in my career that were probably equally as not nice as that one.
Yeah.
However, it's costing her a game. And I don't think any of us were surprised on the suspension. However, I was surprised it was just a 2-minute roughing, just based on the ferociousness of the high stick and how the Boston player was tossed.
And where the ref was positioned too.
The ref was looking right at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Kelly Babstock was suspended that game as well.
Yeah, cross-check to Britta Curl.
Yeah.
So Babstock will not be on the ice playing today here in Seattle. Nonetheless, it just felt like that game had that edge to it.
Yeah.
And I guess you could kind of say, you know, that edge kind of follows Boston around.
I was going to say, who do you think is the spiciest team in the PWHL? I'm thinking Boston might be that team.
Boston rolls into every venue with a massive chip on their shoulder. I dig it. As long as stuff doesn't get out of control, I feel like there needs to be, and it's a 6-team league, so, I mean, it kind of is the case where no matter who you're playing or whether you're home or away or whatever, whoever's coming to town, you got beef.
Yeah.
And there needs to be beef. Look at everyone here in Seattle is expecting to see massive beef between Montreal and Boston here today.
Absolutely.
But there's going to be fireworks. It's a no-doubter. Absolutely. And I feel like Boston thrives on those fireworks. They dig it. They love it. And they constantly bring it. Call them the straw that stirs the drink, whatever you want. They're the team that's egging that on.
Yeah. Okay, now yesterday's game. Different one for Minnesota. Short 6 of their regulars between illness, suspensions. They've got a
Injuries.
flu ripping through the team. Injuries.
Yeah. Grace Zumwinkle, we probably won't see for a while. Nicole Hensley went down in warm-up. Unfortunate to see for Minnesota. But as mentioned, there's something about Ken Klee and the way that he has his team working, or maybe the game plans that he sets forth. I really enjoy the way he coaches his team. Next player up mentality. They're all pushing. They're competing every game. Doesn't matter who's in the lineup. And again, I mean, I feel like Kendall Coyne is just on a whole other level. I know we talked about her. She's been on the podcast. But we need to do a speed check. A new and updated speed check on Kendall Coyne, because she is ripping out there. Like, she's fast. This is a whole different kind of fast. I was like, okay, what's Kendall squatting these days? Because this is getting insane. She could be a zone and a half behind someone, and she'll beat them to a loose puck.
Yeah, there was a play in that game. You sent it to me last night to watch, but one specifically where it just jumped off the page. What do you think it is?
It's a training mom strength. I don't know. It's something. Whatever it is, it's working for her. And I kind of want her workout regimen. If I had enough time, I would. But I don't. That's my excuse.
I want to talk about the pre-game drama in this one.
Yeah.
Poor Maddie Rooney. She was chilling on the couch. She was at home. She had the flu.
Yeah.
And then Nicole Hensley goes down in warm-ups.
Look, they didn't even want Maddie Rooney anywhere near the team.
Yeah.
Because everyone's getting sick. No one wants the norovirus. That's not fun. Unfortunately, Hensley goes down. They have no backup. She had to come in as the E-bug.
Yeah.
And zip to the rink. I think it was about 10 minutes into the first period. She was finally geared up and on the bench. But I mean, tough go. Imagine your first PWHL game between the pipes. You're just like, Hensley's here. I'm never really getting in. I'm just here for support, help open the door. Nonetheless, Lucy Morgan gets the old tap on the shoulder. You ready for this? And it's not like she's going in against a team that's maybe struggling right now to find the back of the net. You're going in against New York. And this team loves nothing more than scoring goals. Nice goals. Sarah Fillier, she's got the puck. She's either looking to feed Carp, who's looking to score, or she's looking to score herself. All the players on New York in this game were salivating, licking their chops, thinking, we got a fresh goalie here, a young one between the pipes, playing her first games. Let's get at her quick. And they did. And look, she did a great job. She kept it close for a while, as did Minnesota. But with the waves of offense that New York was bringing, it just ended up being an onslaught. As expected, shout out to Luce. I mean, she did great. You can't fault her for this. You can't fault Minnesota for the flu running rampant. I appreciate the effort that they put forward, and I appreciate the fact that they did compete and battle for the amount of time that they did with this very strong New York team.
Yeah. 5-0 yesterday was the final in New York. So let's talk about today's game. Stop one of the Takeover Tour in Seattle. Who's cheering for Boston? Can we get some noise in the crowd? Anybody cheering for Boston?
Oh.
Okay, Boston, some love. Who's cheering for Montreal today?
Okay. Oh, boy.
So the last time Montreal played, it was against Boston, and whoo, it might have been the most electric game of the year.
That was the 30th, right? December 30th?
It's their first game of 2025.
Oh, boy. Look, like I said, the beef between these two teams, I dig it, and I'm here for it, and I don't doubt that they're all getting ready and fired up for it. We saw Babstock walking around the rink earlier, and she's fired up, and she's not even playing this game. So
I have to say, amazing stat. One game played, one game suspended. 50%.
Is it 50 or is it just 100%? She's
I guess it's 100. She was suspended in 100% of her games.
She's batting 1,000. Absolutely. This season, at least. But look, this game's got something on the line for both teams. Boston does not want to be in the basement, so they're battling to get out of there. They want Toronto sitting down there all alone. They want to make their way up the standings. For Montreal, they're looking over at Minnesota and saying, you guys are sick and injured and in first place, and we're a point behind. Sweet. Let's go to Seattle and take care of business. They want first place. This team's cruising in the right direction. I want to see what their power play can do today. I tell you, it's mind-blowing and baffling to me that this power play isn't just scoring at will. Yeah. Both P1 and PP2.
Yeah, what do you think would be the difference?
I don't know if it's confidence or just not looking for plays and just letting something happen organically. I truly can't put my finger on it because a lot of the players that are playing on this power play were a heck of a lot better at playing hockey than me. But honestly, if I had to break it down, I feel like sometimes just not forcing it is right. And sometimes just playing hockey, whether it's 5-on-4 or 5-on-5, just playing helps open things up.
Yeah. Okay, so there will be some thought about the last time these two teams played. We've talked a lot about it, how vicious it was on December 30th. How much do you think these teams have to try to rein it in maybe and not let emotions take full control of the game? I know it's important to have emotion, but you know what I mean about walking the line?
Totally, and you just said it, there's a line. And you got to play as close to the line as you can without going over. And look, the referees are going to play a part in this today. They're going to set the precedent from puck drop, right? So it's like, okay, ladies, we're going to let you play physical, but the second something gets out of line, there is no warning, there's a call. Like, this is your warning. They could do that. Or they could just wait and let's see how the game's going to develop organically and then decide to slam their foot down when they need to. Up to the refs. Depends what kind of game you want. And look, fans, you guys play a part in this too. You want to see more of it when big hits happen? Let them hear you, right?
Yeah.
Bad call? Let them hear you. Big goal? Get rowdy. I'm all about it. But the fans will play a part in it too. There's supposed to be close to 10,000 fans in here today. Gonna be raucous. So I hope the fans are as excited and as pumped as the players are to get this thing going.
Yeah, you can tell the players are fired up. The Boston Fleet came in dressed as fishermen today.
They did.
They were wearing waders leaving the hotel. They're more prepared than anyone else.
I ran into Rattray and she was like, smell me. And I'm like, that's an odd request. So I leaned in and I smelled her jacket and she smelled like a big old bag of rubber. She's like, we're just gonna be like squeaky, walking down the street, smelling like a big old ball of rubber bands.
The funny thing is, when she said smell me, I just assumed she was going to smell like fish, that they got used waiters. They didn't get used waiters. They didn't get used ones, just so you guys know.
They're brand new.
Yeah, they are. Should we look ahead a little bit to Wednesday's game, staying on the West Coast?
Vancouver.
Yeah.
Gonna
Toronto, Montreal. That's another little rivalry, just based on geographic location and history.
And the New Year's Eve game.
Yeah.
Between the two. It was an incredible night for Erica Howe, raising money for cancer awareness. Montreal stole that one in overtime. They came battling back in that one and won that game in OT. It was an emotional game for everyone.
Yeah.
All the players giving Howie hugs. Erica Howe at the end of the game. Poulain's interview post-game was super emotional for everybody. So it'll be interesting to see these two teams get back on the ice. My thing is the last game, the way Toronto lost it to Ottawa, it was tough. Toronto should have been 4 goals deep. Nonetheless, they find themselves losing 2-1. On what we would call a blooper goal, I feel really bad for Reagan Kirk that goal even happened. But that goal shouldn't have mattered because it should have already been 4-1 in that case with that goal 4-2. I said earlier, maybe Campbell might get the nod between the pipes. Now I'm second guessing myself because it's against Montreal and they lost that game in overtime. And Reagan Kirk, she played so great. Are you giving her another chance at that? Are you going to allow her to try and avenge herself? I don't know. I'm so jammed up on this. What goalie's going to start? That, you know what? I'm just going to stick with Reagan Kirk and say that they're going to ride her through.
All right, I like that prediction. When we talk about Vancouver and you, I have to talk about 2010. Will it be interesting? I know you've seen women's hockey in that barn since 2010. Mm-hmm. Is it always special to see women on the ice in Vancouver for you?
Yeah, I think it'll be cool for Poulain the most because that's where inevitably she became famous, right? She was an 10 days away from turning 19-year-old, scoring the only 2 goals in an Olympic final to win her country a gold medal. This is where the legend of Marie-Philippe Poulain was born. And then obviously, all the fun stuff afterwards.
Yeah.
Just so everyone knows, every Olympics that was won before that by the Canadian team, Becky Keller will be calling the game here today, multiple-time Olympian. She's got pictures. We go out after you win, and you take a picture with the Lucky Looney at center ice. That's what we were doing. We just happened to have cigars and big old bottles of beer and champagne with us, and there happened to be a couple photographers kicking around, getting pictures of us.
Yeah.
And it went viral. And then Pooh had to apologize for being underage, boozing and smoking on the ice. Which, to me, if anyone's out there and you have an 18-year-old kid who scores the only 2 goals in an Olympic final to win their country a gold medal, I'm handing my kid a beer.
Give him a beer.
Right? Am I crazy?
Yeah.
That's just what you do.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Anyways.
Listen, it's going to be great to see in Vancouver. That moment with you guys on the ice with those cigars and those bottles is an iconic moment in women's hockey. And guys, let's have another one here today. Stop 1 of the Takeover Tour. Welcome to Seattle. Puck drop soon.
Okay, post-game in Seattle. What a day it was. Like, the feel for women's hockey in the city is real, and it might have something to do with the person sitting to my left right now. If you're just listening audio-wise, we are so lucky to be joined by the biggest name in women's hockey right now, I think I feel comfortable saying. We have a lot of really amazing women in the PWHL, and they're all making waves right now, but what this person has done this year, and she's looking away kind of awkwardly like right now because she doesn't want to wear it at all and get all the accolades, but what a year it's been for Jessica Campbell, the first female assistant coach in the NHL. Welcome to the Jocks and Jills podcast.
Tons of clicks, tons of clicks.
We're going to start by breaking down today's game. Yeah. Boston, Montreal, what a rivalry it is in the PWHL. Tessa and I were hyping it up in the pregame that it was going to be a physical battle. We hyped it up that it was going to be a close game. Tessa might have even been talking about Montreal's power play, and we got a little look at all those things.
And the first thing I said to Miss Jessica Campbell, a.k.a. Soupy, was, what are you seeing on Montreal's power play? Because I know you run Seattle's power play, and they do pretty well with it. And we kind of had a little look-see. What'd you notice? I mean, obviously, Laura Stacey scores on their first power play opportunity, which opened the scoring, and it was super great and grand. But like IMO, they need to be, this power play should at least be firing. Power play 1 and 2, quite frankly, should be firing at least at 30%. But what'd you notice about their PP?
Yeah, I mean, I just think the best power plays right now, we talked about it, movement, just unpredictable to the scout or to the other team. And I think that when you get pretty meat and potatoes with your passing, sometimes that's how just gritty goals go in around the net, which is, how Stace kind of got one there at the start. But I think they have the skill to be able to be moving, interchanging, creating layers, and a lot harder to defend. So that would be my first suggestion. But they have the talent and they have the deception and all of the tools needed. So leverage that.
You liked it more tonight, though, Tessa, the power play.
Yeah, there was some part. Like when we talked about movement, like I feel like all of a sudden they started to move and we were like, it's like they're listening to us right now. That's kind of cool. But sometimes I feel like just playing. Do you know what I mean? Like pretend like you're not on the power play and just go out there and play. Because when you do that, I find it confuses the penalty kill in a sense. Like they think they have a spot where they need to be and a way they need to defend. And if you're just playing hockey out there, it kind of confuses that a little bit in a sense. But with Boston's power play, I know they got Megan Keller at the top, and like Keller's a boss. Quite frankly, probably one of the best defenders next to Renata Fast out there. And I like their power play running through Hannah Bilka best, who is on the right flank. She's just got great hockey knowledge. I was talking to you about her a little bit too.
Yeah, I want to steal her for ours. I was talking with Maddie Beniers about her, and I'm like, he's like, she's got it.
Yeah.
She got her first, it was her second goal of the season. I feel like tonight was a big night for her. It was her second goal of the season, but the first Hannah Bilka, nice, put my stamp on it goal. And then you could see her, you pointed it out, Tess. She was running the power play, telling everyone what to do.
Yeah, she was no looking seam passes through.
Yes.
It was just that's elite thinking.
That's it. It's elite thinking. She's got people throw out hockey IQ all the time, and people sometimes confuse it with a lot of different things. But I said it to you before the game, we sat behind the bench with Megan Rapinoe and Sue Bird for a bit behind the Boston bench, which was pretty cool. And I was like, Soupy, you belong down here. You're way cooler than us. Get down here. They didn't know much about hockey. So what better person to explain it to them than you in your rink, essentially. But I was like, I love watching it from up top because you can tell the players, and this is probably where you get to see it in video, the players that truly see the game a step ahead of everyone else.
Right.
You see it with Sid when you watch from a bird's eye view. You probably see it with Cooch and with Braden Point and with Victor Hedman. I love their power play, so that's the only reason I'm throwing it out there. But players that just know how to manipulate and move the game and get it to do what they want it to do to create space or time for the play that they have set in mind, whether the player they're playing with knows it or not. And I feel like Bilka has that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you just hit on all the parts, I think, of the special players that absolutely dominate. And when they get on the ice, you're especially power plays, right? There's a different type of style based on skill. And, you look at even McKinnon's power play with Colorado, it runs through him, but it's all about establishing a shot and then reattacking off broken plays. And depending if you have shooting personnel or the passing skill, I think the great thing about the PWHL is you have the skating and possess pucks, make plays, don't force passes. I think changing spots and changing handedness so that looks change. I think about Poulin, she can score from everywhere. She can score downhill. She can shoot a one-timer. Just move and fill spots. And whether you're running a 1-3-1 or spread look, I think there's too many forced shots from the top without anyone around the net. And then you're just retrieving.
So if you were running Montreal's power play and you had the luxury of the 10 players that they have, would you undercoach them? Would you overcoach them? Or would you just say, look, it's a shot first mentality kind of game, retrieve the puck, create chaos kind of thing?
Well, my thoughts right now, am I allowed to consult right now?
100%. We might not pay you for it. We'll buy you a beer after this. I mean,
we're signing off on it.
I would have probably them more in a spread look starting with Barnes and Ambrose at the top, just finding lanes through to the bottom and creating an odd man scenario low with 3-on-2 with Pooh, whatever makeup of the groups that they put on the ice because they have the forwards to do it too. But then I would do high rolls and low rolls using the back of the net. Like just like
so we're
McDavid takes the back
reversed.
of the net, have Pooh just working both sides. And then you see so many diamonds in the women's game. Like there's not a lot of push downs. It's a lot more just lanes. Like roll, find your lanes, find the seams through.
So you'd
and
run
let the deep shot threats just be at the top.
So you would basically flip the box and have everyone look below the goal line.
Yeah, I'd be working
And you'd have
everything
2D
from
up
the
top.
bottom.
By spread, you mean 2D up top?
Yeah.
So that would be your Barnes and Ambrose.
Yeah.
And you would have Pooh make everyone look below the goal line because it's hard on the goaltender as well. And you go low to high and you get the shot that way.
Yeah, I would start with how Pooh comes up downhill and I'd run her straight downhill.
Yeah.
Force them to respect the lane, the shot, and then I'd have her just carry the back of the net, roll the top, and whoever's the better one-timer shooter of the two, roll them over, open up the threat of the shot, and then look for something back low and create a low 3-on-2, or take the one-timer. But just look, movement.
It's just so easy.
Corey, send the check in the mail.
Yeah. that don't work.
No.
Kibosh this whole thing.
No, honestly, like just hearing you talk about it and how obvious it is to you, I respect that so much and appreciate, your hockey knowledge and like I'm sure a lot of the guys that you coach and work with do as well. So like your point of view, the fact that you got to watch the game here today and be a part of it in a big way, which was really cool, I think is totally neat. Did you expect Boston to be able to come back and win this one? Were you seeing them chip away at the bit, or were you kind of like, no, it's obvious Montreal's the team here?
Yeah, honestly, I missed the first 10. I was kind of all over the place. And so once I got really into the game, I'm like, okay, here we go. And I started zeroing in on what players were doing what. But I mean, I feel like the games are so low scoring, which we want more offense, but I'm like, anybody can turn this thing around at any point. Like one shot, one play. So I wasn't shocked that they got themselves right back in it. But yeah, it's just momentum and puck management and capitalizing on the turnovers. I think that really helped Boston to their favor. And then obviously their special teams were good and came up big.
We got to give Susanna Tapany some love. She was awesome tonight.
I love her.
She was awesome in the previous game, got the fastest consecutive goals in PWHL history. She was all over it.
Yeah. And Aaron Frankel gave her the worker of the game or whatever they have with the jacket in the locker room afterwards. And I just feel like, and I said it before the game, she's playing the right kind of hockey, the kind of hockey. When you have a player that it's like, finally, okay, there you are. Now you're playing the right way. You're doing the stuff that everyone expected to see from you and more. And it's nice. And I feel like it's paying off dividends for her. It's almost like the KISS rule, keep it simple, stupid. Just what do you do? What did we bring you here for? Cool, go do that. You know what I mean? I feel like that's where she's at right now. And sometimes it's straight puck luck. I find when you're on, you'll probably remember this from your days, especially under 18s. We're going to talk about it when we interview you. But sometimes when you're on, the puck just finds you and will deflect in off of you or will just end up on your stick in and around and near the net. And you're like, I don't know why or how this is happening, but there it is. And I feel like Susanna Tapany is not fighting it and just totally riding that wave. She looked great tonight. Probably her and Hannah Bilka tonight were the two that really stuck out for me. I don't know who else stuck out for you for Boston, but those two really, I find, turned my head.
Yeah, they're for sure. And I also I get really impressed with Muller. I just think she's so elite one-on-one with her thinking. I was watching the game with Dan and I'm like, just watch her make plays. They're not forced plays. They're smart, intelligent hockey plays. And I feel like they could utilize her differently too.
Yeah.
She's got so much.
Tessa was saying this tonight.
Yeah, she's a weapon. And man, she's definitely something to watch. But yeah, those two stood out for sure. And Tapany also goes to the net.
Yeah.
She knows how to find the net.
She's got a big body too, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's where you're going to create from. That's where it all is.
Yeah. Yeah. I would love to see Alina Muller. I don't know why. I just have her and Rattray for whatever reason. I feel like they need to just be married on the ice. Just let them be a gruesome twosome out there and create. Cause, I don't know. Every superhero needs a sidekick, and both of them to me are superheroes, and they'd be great sidekicks for each other out there. And I don't know that either Rattray nor Muller can carry a line singularly, if you know what I mean. And their level of IQ, hockey IQ, is above the majority. The majority. So they need someone else that is vibing on the same frequency as them in terms of the way they look and see the game. I don't know. That's just where I'm at. And that's not a knock on anybody. That's just the eliteness of these two women.
Opportunity. I think finding that, that player that can fill that.
Totally.
leverage that. You're right. They're drivers.
Anyways, everyone in Seattle got exactly what they paid for.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that. You got overtime and a shootout. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. And they loved it, man. The crowd in Seattle, I like want to shut them out. They were so good tonight.
I mean, ask what about Seattle would make this a great market for the PWHL? Because when we sat down, you were like, hey guys, listen, I got to tell you something. And you said what I want you to say right now. So what is it about Seattle that makes it like superb?
It's so diverse, eclectic. It's just like, it's a new hockey market. So they're also like learning and falling in love with the game, unlike the old traditional Canadian hockey world that we brought up in so much. I feel it every day. Like we go on the ice at the Iceplex, our practice facility, and the fans are clapping when you get on the ice.
At practice?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
And for the coaches, or one save and it's a warm-up drill.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it's a save. Or, just like everything that happens is exciting. And so, I don't know. To me, I was totally convinced. As soon as I saw Seattle marked on the Takeover Tour, I was like, this is going to be awesome. And, Sunday afternoon, it doesn't really matter when you have the game. I just think that the energy and the enthusiasm in this city for women's sports, it's a whole nother world. Right. And I don't think this is like any other hockey market in our industry as well across the league. Like the fan base is different. You look up in the Jumbotron, you see everything from fans dancing to like, the kids, the family, you see it all. And I just think they love women's hockey.
Yeah, it's a special market. They really embraced you. Let's get into your story a little bit. We got some time with you. We want to focus on you. Our interview with Jessica Campbell is brought to you by Bravado Designs, the official bra partner of the PWHL. Shout out to Bravado, our good friends.
Bravado, supporting the ladies while supporting our ladies.
That's Tessa's tagline that she made up for Bravado. They're still kind of deciding if they like it or not.
We haven't heard from them yet to tell me to stop using it.
Take that as a hint.
Yeah, we think they like it. We think they like it. You know what else I love?
Ghost
Girls
mode.
from Saskatchewan. So tell us about the roots in Melville. Melville, right?
Yeah, half my life in Melville, half my life in Rocanville.
Okay.
But yeah, add a Ville to it. That's where I'm from.
The Ville.
The Ville.
Yeah.
Rocanville and Melville. Okay, growing up in the prairies. Where do you want to start? I mean, like, pretty typical.
Yeah. Where you found hockey, how hockey found you, how you fell in love with it.
Okay, I was the youngest of 4 kids. So 2 older brothers and an older sister. So I don't know if I had a choice. Right. I loved the game, but like my parents both played. My mom played college hockey too. So it was kind of like we were, handed skates by the time we were walking at the rink, all hours that it was open. And so just thought, my whole childhood was I was a rink rat and always on the ice and played boys hockey and did that until I was 15 years old. Kind of like only opportunity to go into competitive girls hockey was when I turned 15, 16. I actually got like leveled, like open ice hit playing Bantam boys hockey. And that's when my dad was like, okay, it's time. Find a girls team.
Me too. It was Bantam. And I even knew in my head, I was like, what am I doing? What am I trying to prove right now?
Right.
I don't know why I'm doing
I
this.
was telling some of our guys the other day about that hit. And I was like, that was the moment that I went to girls hockey.
Yeah.
I'd ski.
Yeah.
That's when Julia decided to finally put her hair back in a ponytail.
No, I did that in like Pee Wee. This is embarrassing for me, Jess, but I let it flow. It's
You
not
did
something
flow.
I'm proud of.
Full flow.
Yeah, dude, I was even a ref for a while and I had my hair flowing.
Julia.
I'm not joking about that. Somebody like the chief of referees in Thunder Bay was like, "Can you wear a ponytail?" I was like, "No, this is my hair. It looks good. Bye."
Was it long?
Yeah, it was long like this. It was stupid.
Well, at least you
I owned it.
owned it.
I
Yeah.
owned it, and I obviously talk about hockey now. I don't,
But
play
it's
anymore.
groomed now. It looks really good now. I
Yeah,
can
it was like
imagine.
fluffier.
We didn't have straighteners and curling
No,
irons.
I was just saying that. No, you're so right, Jess. I saw a little girl tonight with like curly hair, and I said it to Tess. I was like, "Man, I used to have hair like that when I was a kid. I hated it. Like it was so hard to deal with."
And it's funny because I was like, oh man, I want that kid's hair.
I was like, "That was my hair. I hated it." You what were you? Single pony braid girl?
I was a single pony and sometimes braids, but I didn't have a lot of hair, so it was just like these tiny little awkward. I was a full ponytail.
Yeah,
Full pone.
Yeah, never flow down though.
never flowed out.
No,
Well,
that's
technically, you're flow down. You just got short flow.
Yeah, it's tied back in a little pone.
Oh, I thought for a while you just went straight headband.
I did. I bet he booped it for a while.
But you could because headband kept it all in control.
Headband,
wasn't, like, out of
headband kept it
control.
back, and like it was just like a little boop out the back. Like
Yeah.
this is the long. This is I would never have my hair this long playing hockey. This would be in a ponytail.
Right. Okay.
Right?
Fair
It's
enough.
a sweaty neck you're talking about, and it makes me claustrophobic and feel really icky.
Yeah, I feel you.
Not right. Anyways, we need to carry on. For your
Sucking out with your hair down. Yeah.
Your hockey journey, Jess, is the fact that your mom coached you. We hear lots about dads coaching, but the fact that your mom was on the ice, and that's when you were playing boys too?
Yeah, even like my earliest memories, like one of my still like childhood memories of playing with the boys. I think we were maybe like 6 or 7 in this photo. There's only like 9 kids in the team photo.
Yeah, back in the day when there was like you were playing every other
Yeah, we
shift.
had one
never
extra. I
changed.
stayed on the ice, played full 60. Like, how is that possible? But anyways, yeah, my mom, I mean, my dad, he supported us too and was everywhere. But because I had 2 older brothers, he was often coaching them too. And so my mom was coaching our team and like at that level, like opening up the doors. But it's still like for me, I think it planted potentially, a seed that's now today. I think back, I'm like, I never saw anything different.
Yeah,
or knew anything
unconscious,
different.
You are your mom right now.
Oh boy,
Just at a
she'd be
whole other
so-
level.
She'd be so proud of you saying that. There's parts of her
Got
that
you,
I'm
Mom.
like, no, I don't want that quirk. But
Those
Yeah.
all pop up. I find I'm like, oh, it's happening already.
yeah, it's so true. No, super special though, because obviously she was leading and by example, and she was also a school teacher. So I had her growing up as a teacher as well, gym teacher. And so just that, I think, modeling of you can really do anything outside of traditional norms, like show up and just do it.
Was she like, because like, look, for anyone who has had a parent, a father in particular, coach them, there was dad and then there was coach dad. Was your mom like mom where you had the empathetic, loving, caring mother? And then coach mom was just like crack the whip mom?
Yeah, she kind of played definitely both roles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like there was not many car rides home that were not like a discussion of like how the game went. I'll never forget. I cried from just a conversation around turning away from the puck. And I'm like, why? Like thinking back now, I'm like, why was I crying hysterically about that? But I was so displeased by like their like not anger, but like them being displeased with me turning away from pucks. And I'm
Right.
like, okay,
That's
that's
not the
really
play, kid.
important that you taught me that at a young age. But like,
I didn't need to
it was
cry
never
about
about
it.
scoring goals. It was about doing things the right way. So like, I think I'm grateful for it now, but
Well, and the intangibles, right? Like
Yeah.
the little things that like win a game and lose a game, that was just being ingrained into you at a super young age. And obviously why you made it as far and you were as successful as you were, and probably why you're here, I feel like.
I'm sure some parts along the way for sure.
You played for the Melville Prairie Fire. And when I heard this, I immediately went back to my days at the Ohio State University. And
boy.
I don't know if you've ever had one. Have you ever had a shot? Has anyone out there had a shot called a Prairie Fire? I feel like this is a very common thing. And you being from Sask, you had to have had one. It's tequila with Tabasco sauce in it.
Oh gosh. Okay, no, I have not.
Is it a
I
specific
knew it was
kind of
something
tequila?
spicy.
It's gold tequila. It's got to be gold tequila. And then you put the Tabasco, and the Tabasco like drips down into it and it lands at the bottom. It looks like a little fire.
So it's hot.
Oh.
It's spicy. On
And do you-
top of the kick that the nasty golden tequila you're drinking.
Yeah, and any lime, no.
You can. I'm not a limer with my tequila. But so you never had one?
Nope.
Okay, we'll be doing one after this.
The other thing I know about Melville that I'm kind of obsessed with, I think they might have the best, I would say, bold take, best junior hockey team name in Western Canada.
Millionaires.
The Melville Millionaires.
And if you were lucky enough on one of the youth teams, you were on the white team, which were the billionaires.
What? What? Who made this?
Exactly.
so
It's still the junior team.
Yeah.
Honestly, it puts the SJHL, the millionaires, still put it on the map.
Yeah,
Like
they
everywhere
do.
I go, I'm from Melville, they're like, oh, millionaires town. I'm like, wow.
I love the SJ. That's a great junior league.
Is it named the Millionaires for a reason? Did you guys have like the most millionaires per capita? What was it? Or is
No.
it just someone that
You know
was
what?
like, it starts with an M?
I have no clue. And I should know this, but money sign, blue and white, that's it.
And it's not even, money's green. Well, actually, that's not true. Money in Canada is multicolored for
Yeah,
those
you're
who are
right.
not from Canada that listen. But green would make most sense, but it's blue, and that's okay.
Yeah.
We'll get kind of serious here. We like to keep it light on this podcast, but at a very young age, you lived through kind of devastating loss. I don't even say kind of, absolute devastating loss with the loss of your brother Josh, who got in a
Mhm.
fatal car accident. How did that moment like help shape? You were 10, I think, at that time.
Mhm.
How, like, that is a lot to digest at a very young age, preteen, all of that. So how did the loss of your brother help shape you both as a person and
Mhm.
as we'll say player/coach?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, I think everybody who's ever experienced loss in life takes that same lesson or feeling of the grief and the hardship and all of the like the pains that come with it as a blessing if you turn it into that. For me, it was always, I think hockey was an avenue that we as a family navigated that grief. I was so young to really like understand not the magnitude of the loss. It was like I lost my childhood hero, like the one that every day I looked up to. And, you know, I had so many similarities to my brother and just kind of had the same spirit, personality. And so I think for me that loss became like a real driver for me in hockey because it was like I always had more than the crest. I had a number to play for. I had a legacy and a love and a just something to like carry onto the ice every day. And so I honestly don't think I would be where I am today had I not had such a challenging journey as a young kid because I was able to understand how to turn loss into something good as a driver and as fuel and as, you know, an opportunity to live with greater purpose and gratitude.
At that age, at 10, did you understand that then? Or was it just a hard moment where, like, could you even understand that you weren't going to see your brother anymore? Like,
No.
do you remember that day?
Oh my God, I remember that day. I'll never forget that day. I definitely, I don't think I understood necessarily what not, I understood the facts of the reality. I
Yeah.
was old enough to understand that. But I think what was very real for me was the emotion around me. Like my mom nearly collapsed to the floor, if not to the floor, in my dad's arms when we found the news out. And like those memories are so vivid and still like yesterday. And I'm 32 years old now. And it's like those are the moments where I think you really see what grief and tragedy and trauma is embedded. And I think we had such a really good support system around us. And like I was playing on a young hockey team and like your teammates and everyone in the small hockey communities, like they're hand in hand there for you and at your doorstep. And it's just like you lean on everybody else to almost navigate what that loss is. I was just really thankful, you know, to be supported by a group and a team and almost to have a community get behind, you know, the time for me as a young girl because, you know, I was hopping in with other families, going to hockey tournaments with them, like beyond those years. And then it kind of became a catalyst for me of like taking that pain and that loss and saying like I'm doing everything for Josh. It became kind of like, and my sister and I talk about it still to this day. She's like, I think she got very emotional this summer when I got this job. My sister, we were back home in Saskatchewan, and maybe she's more emotional now that she has young kids of her own, but she was just like, I think honestly, I feel like everything in life happens for a reason. You never really can connect dots backwards. Sometimes we can connect them as we go, but she was like, I feel like, you know, Josh was the sacrifice for this dream of yours to come to fruition. And now you're getting to live it out, what he imagined and dreamt of. And mom and dad are prouder and happier than ever. And it's just like, yeah, the home opener was like, I felt this sense of like pride and just knowing like this is what Josh would have dreamed of.
With him and for him,
Yeah.
right? Was he? I have a son and a daughter. My son's older, my daughter's younger, and he walks on water to her. And anything he
Mhm.
says, she says, and anything he does, she wants to do. Was
Yeah.
he? I know you said you had two older brothers, but was Josh that brother for you? Because you had two to choose from, essentially. But was he
Yeah.
that guy for you?
Uh-huh. Yeah, he was. Josh was the oldest, so we did everything that Josh did first, really.
Right.
You know, like the most competitive hockey tournament. I remember, never forget, we spent Christmas. One of our fondest family Christmases was driving 12 hours to Calgary to the Max AAA tournament. Like that still exists, I think, the Max tournament. And like watching him play as an 18-year-old kid and winning like the tournament MVP, playing in the Saddle Dome against Shattuck St. Mary's. Like I remember a little kid like buying a Calgary Flames visor and like in the NHL room dancing up, and like he was like bringing the dream of the stage to us. And so, you know, I have very strong bonds with all my siblings, but there was, you know, my mom says it best, Josh and I had carried a very similar spirit and really like feistiness and competitiveness for the love of hockey specifically. So I think I'm wired from the same makeup that he has.
Yeah, you mentioned you have a number to play for. Did you change to 8 right away?
Yeah, right away. As soon as almost everyone gave it to me too.
Aww.
Along the way from college to, you know, as soon as teammates knew that kind of 8, why 8, it was like, here you go. So I was very fortunate to always rep number 8.
And I think that, like you mentioned, you know, at such a young age, you saw everybody rally around you. And I feel like I am such a lover of a team dynamic, and I love the locker room feel. And it's for that. It's like you never really feel alone. And just so I'm clear, I'm not knocking any type of individual sport. I love golf. I want my children to golf, and I want them to play tennis too. But like,
Because she wants summer sports.
I don't want to be cold in a rink the whole time. Okay. But there is something to be said about how amazing it is to be a part of a team.
Yeah, there's nothing like it, honestly. I mean, once you experience a locker room or a team setting on any level and on any age, it's just like you have a whole army of people that are with you, for you, going through everything alongside you, and the ups and the downs. Like team sport, all of that that's navigating life.
There's something about like, and I can't even remember who I talked to about this, but like when you can tell when you've got like the winning pedigree on a team. Do you know what I mean? You know what that feels like. And it's not to say that like one team is better than the other, because I've been on teams that like haven't been very successful, but man, they were the most fun teams I've ever been on. Toronto Furies.
Didn't you guys win?
We did end up winning my last year, yeah. But years before that, we were not fantastic. However,
You guys were always winning in Calgary.
Yeah, we were pretty good.
They were good in Calgary. Okay, Julia, we don't need. Anyways,
shout out to the Inferno.
Yeah, Calgary Inferno. But let's talk about, you had 2 years at the U18 level, silver, gold. Do you remember what? I guess I remember the first time I made my under 22 team. I didn't have the luxury of playing under 18s. Yeah, you did, but I guess making that team and getting to don that jersey, because before the PWHL, technically that was the pinnacle of female hockey. So, and you did that at an under 18 level.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, that was pretty surreal because you're so young. And like you said, it was, for me, that dream became very like fomented after the 2002 Olympics. Like when I saw Cassie Campbell, Captain Campbell, like Cass and I laugh about this all the time, because I'm like, when I saw Cassie Campbell, I was like, I want to be the next Campbell to wear the maple leaf. And it became like this like mission of mine. But anyways, I mean, coming out of Saskatchewan, there wasn't a lot of us then to represent from Saskatchewan. Even now, like then it was even fewer. And so, you know, I felt such pride coming out of the prairies, playing boys hockey, and just my journey to the national team. So when I made it, it was pretty surreal. And honestly, I didn't believe I was going to make it the first year, because I was playing in camp with Poulin immediately. And then after the first practice, kid you not, Pooh probably has no recollection of this, but I won't forget it. Nike Bauer was still a thing, right? Remember the sticks?
I loved, though. I was just talking about the Nike sticks. I love them.
Yeah, super cool. And the skates then came up, but I'll never forget, because it's my first Hockey Canada like tryout. And after the first practice, like I don't think I caught a pass. I was so nervous, and I was a gong show for me. My stick was like taller than me then. Again, nobody told me any different. And after the first practice, the head coach comes in and she hands me, or she goes, "Where's Campbell?" And I'm in the corner, stand up or whatever. And she's like, "Use this stick for the rest of camp." brand new Nike Bauer stick. Super exciting, but it was like chopped off like at least like 5 inches. I felt like 2 feet. Yeah. Chopped down to like now below almost on my shoulders from my forehead.
Yeah.
So then the next practice after that, of course, like I was like trying to take one-timers, missing pucks, like going through it. But playing on a line with Pooh, I'm sure she loved it. Flying up the wall, throwing the pucks around.
Yeah.
Anyways, I made the team. It got better after that, but I made the team. So that was a pretty surreal moment.
Dude, you had your second year, U18s, you were the captain. You won gold that year. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you did. 15 points in 5 games. Like what? I think you had 7 goals and 8 assists, which is absolute insanity. Like what the hell? What from year to year, what changed for you? Is it because Pooh wasn't there anymore? You were intimidated? What was it?
I don't know. U18 level was interesting for me because I think I could skate better than most at U18
you
level.
could, from what I remember about
So
you.
I think I peaked early in my Hockey Canada career. Like U18 was kind of like the pinnacle. I was like faster, so therefore the volume of shots I could get to the net, breakaways, all those kinds of like opportunities were there. Yeah. So as I kind of went through my journey, I kind of had to figure out how to navigate more from a skill level one-on-one. But early on, I got a lot of opportunities to shoot the puck,
I'd say.
And then when it came to recruitment, how did you end up at Cornell? Like there must have been lots of choices at that point in your career, and then it's a long way from home too.
Cornell. That's a funny story because I was very fortunate to have options. And I had no clue what I wanted to do like post college. But you guys will remember this. Like back when, I'm sure it's still the same way. I hope it's still the same way. You get the mail, like the letter, your first official letter in like 9th grade from like the questionnaire.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm crying at how you said you guys will remember this.
Sorry. I put you in a category.
Thank you. I had a couple of UA sniffs.
Yeah. Did you? Yeah.
I could have, I kind of like bowed out early, but
Did you?
Could have been OUA.
Yeah, for sure you could have. I was going to chime in, but I let you be, Julia. You're welcome. Nonetheless, I do remember the mail and how exciting that was as a young kid.
Yeah, and it was only 9th grade, so my parents would collect those letters, and like I'll never forget, my mom put it in like her top drawer of her dresser and stuff. Like I didn't know. I still haven't asked her about this. Like, did you not want me to see them? But they just put them away, and then eventually she's like, you should go like unpack all those letters and figure out.
You should probably fill out the questionnaires. They've been waiting to hear from you. And I feel like everyone your age ghosted colleges and universities. Hey?
Well, the process was kind of still like everyone was trying to figure out what exactly they wanted to do. Like, and you said yourself, you didn't have a lot of people who were doing the same thing.
Yeah. And honestly, when I first saw the letter from Harvard, I was like, I'm going to Harvard because like, it's in the movies.
Yeah.
Like that's what I was brought up in, watching like movies from a small town. So when I got a letter from the Ivy Leagues, I was very like, you know the names. And so I was very, I was strong academically growing up, and my parents put a lot of pride on me doing well in school. So I worked really hard at school. And so for me, it was like, okay, if I can get into an Ivy League school, then this should be like find the best hockey program. So I kind of categorized it as like, can I find the best hockey experience and the best like blend of both, and then kind of weigh the two. So anyways, honestly, the first window when coaches could call, which I think was then June. I think you're
July
right.
1.
July 1?
June?
One of those dates. I think you're right. July 1st. This is now back in like 2009 or whatever year this was.
I was graduated already, just so everyone knows. That's okay. Go on.
So then the Doug Dara, Cornell coach.
Yep.
First call. I don't know many cell numbers right now. Like I could call my mom, I could call my sister, and all the rest of my numbers are on my phone. I still know my college coach's full digits because he called on the minute every week. Once a week they were allowed to call. And he called every week just to have the phone call that he could have, get to know me, talk with me, talk about Cornell, all the reasons why I should go to Cornell. And yeah, he just put on the most like best sell and the best like, we want you here. This is why you fit here. And at one point I was like, Mom, he's annoying. Like he won't stop calling.
Stage 5 clinger, this guy, this Doug Dara.
I think I laughed with him about this now. He's
like, such a good guy.
You did a great recruiting tactic. You did not stop.
No quit.
Anyways, so when it then came to the next, opportunity to book the official visit, because back then everybody only did official visits. Like I wasn't just driving down or flying somewhere which now is some players out east have the opportunity to do that, to go on unofficial tours. I was like, it was official. Everything was official. And of course he called and he's like, the very first date that you can book, September 15th, I want you down in Cornell. So that was like my first scheduled visit. And then shortly after, I had a couple others scheduled and I went to Harvard visit right following that. And it was actually on the anniversary of my brother Josh's passing when I went Thanksgiving to Harvard. And it just, in my heart, didn't feel right. Maybe it was a tough weekend for me to be in the big city of Boston, but the little small town person in me was like, after I left Cornell, I knew some teammates there, Karpenko and Mazzotta, and I was just like, no, I'm going to Cornell. So it was like one and done, and I canceled the other visits.
You did? Who were the other ones?
Duluth.
You could have been a Bulldog.
Mm-hmm. And Minnesota.
That's okay.
Don't worry, not Ohio.
So we weren't even in the mix. That's great. Sweet. Do you remember who your host was when you went on your visit?
Fortino and Rougeau.
It?
Rougeau was my host, yeah.
No way.
Did you guys have fun?
They're
No.
quieter. They're quieter. I see. If you would have come visited me at Ohio
floor in her like all girls dorm, which of course then a year later I ended up in that dorm.
Exact dorm. Did you go to Insomnia Cookies?
Yep, Insomnia. Yep, got the Insomnia Cookies. The whole college town tour vibe. It was too early to like get to see the whole men's hockey experience and the culture, but yeah.
You went to school with Jill Saunier, who's a friend of the show.
She was a year after me.
Was she after you? Oh,
Yep.
sorry.
Same age though. Can bug her about that.
Yeah,
Some of us, a year.
Yes.
I like to bug her
Some
that
of
way.
us take longer to mature than others. Do you remember the first time you met her and what cool trick you showed her?
I had a couple cool tricks.
Oh, okay. Do tell.
Well, I'm assuming it wasn't the popcorn trick college one.
No, but what's that one?
No, that one's not what we're talking about.
Okay.
It was probably, I could make this cool trumpet sound with my teeth. Yeah, I got my teeth fixed, so like can't do it no more. But I could make this really iconic trumpet noise, and I thought it was the coolest thing to just get to know people. And it was such not a cool thing to get to know people.
It breaks the ice for sure. Like,
Tessa
the
doesn't
person on the
remember
receiving end is gonna be like, okay, I guess I'm comfortable.
Or this girl's weird.
Jill literally was like, she came up to me and just like, hey, what's up? I'm Jess Campbell. Want to see a cool trick? And then you like whistled or played the Chris Brown forever song with your teeth. But like every time I think of you, I think of music. For whatever reason, I remember it was like one of my last years with Team Canada. You were coming up for a training camp. It was maybe one of your first, and everyone's like, "Oh, Soupy's hilarious. You guys are gonna get along great." And I'm like, okay, like why? And they're like, "Oh, you got to get her to do her Shakira impression. She is Shakira." And I was like, "I'm not gonna go up to some kid." They're like, "She'd love it." I'm like, "All right." So do you remember? I was like, "Yo, can you just do your Shakira?"
Can you sing for me?
And
was in the locker room.
Yeah, or just outside. But I remember there being a curtain somewhere, and I was in and around where we were, and like you did it, and I was like, "That's pretty freaking good." But you are Shakira in my mind. Can you still do?
I could. You guys will have to get on a different podcast with the Prairie Fire involved.
Come on, just a little bit of Shakira.
That would be the Melville Millionaires podcast.
No, I'm keeping this really strong professional persona, respect with my players. We can't bring Shakira back.
We will totally tell your players about the Shakira thing. Was Shakira a part of your set list when you started your band called The Undecided?
Probably, yep. Number one was in
there.
Like
what? One, the name, and two, who was in it?
And what did you play? Did you sing?
No. Okay, this is during a time where like everyone just got their first like laptop, Apple computer. I don't know. The photo booth thing, which distorted your face, and that was like a cool thing to spend time looking at. Like, why?
I get it.
Filters back then.
Filters. It was the start of filters. You're right, and very weird. But we thought it was hilarious to like, because we had downtime during camps and tournaments where we were just like, emotionally and physically fatigued after testing, and you're just like sitting in the room. And we thought it was a great idea to form a band on the photo booth and to just play music in the background with our distorted faces. And, I would be the lead singer, and it was always my thumb.
Right.
And then Jill would dance in the background. And then
Jill's the dancer.
And then we would get some guests. Like I remember Chelsea Karpenko was in it as well. Cornell, and former national team player with us too. But Rebecca Johnson came in, and then when Pooh came on as a guest, it got real.
It blew up.
Yeah. Those videos still exist somewhere like deep on Facebook, and it's scary when they get brought. Spooner also, she was in there at one point.
I can imagine because I had a band with
good
Spooner.
vibes. Yeah.
Yeah, we were called the Teaspoons. No big deal. Freshman ideas come about. Like, I feel like when you're a freshman, you realize you have so much time on your hand and you're just so excited and eager to do things. And like, you're free, you're away from your family. There's a lot of fun things you could do that you probably wouldn't do at home.
I did this, just so you know. Like, I got a tattoo in freshman year. My parents aren't that strict, but they were like, don't get any tattoos. So the first thing that I did when I moved out was got a tattoo.
Yeah. What were you?
I don't even really like it that much. And then the credit card bill went to my parents' house. They were like, did you get a tattoo? What's Bamboo Tattoo Studio? It was like the worst rebellion
Bamboo.
ever. So stupid.
Shout out to Bamboo. Everybody go to Bamboo.
Bamboo Studio. What was your freshman tattoo idea?
Well, actually, it wasn't my idea. It was I think it was it Jenner's idea?
You tell me.
Was it my idea?
Was it Jenny's idea?
Jenny was in on it. I think it was actually our goalie Lawrence Blodnick's idea. I have no idea why, but there were 6 of us freshmen, and we called ourselves the F6. F6. Fresh 6.
Okay, got it.
So we were the F6. And for whatever reason, I'm going to just put this on Jenner. She can unpack it later for you. Somebody thought it'd be a great idea to get inside lip tattoos, like inner lip tattoos. That
So
says
mid-2000s.
Swamp donkeys.
What?
I don't know. Don't know. Didn't get them. Don't worry.
Okay.
We're all good. We're in the clear.
Those rub off, don't they? Or like they go away?
I think it was more of a like, let's get it. Like, this is a real pack. Like, we're the F6. Let's get these really weird tattoos that make no sense or really painful. And then we could just like flash it at a team party together and it'll be really cool.
But they wanted
And
it
everyone
to
would be like,
stay
you're crazy.
swamp donkey?
Yeah. Or we were going to call them like code word swamp donkeys. I don't know. I still don't even know why. I have no context for, I just said, sure, I'll do it. If we're all doing it, I'll do it.
How did it fall apart?
Thank God it didn't happen because one wouldn't do it. She's like, no, this, I can't. Unless like there was a bet. Unless we win everything, like.
She saved y'all. Like, I guess it would have been gone already.
Thank goodness Alyssa Glardy saved everybody's decisions.
Alyssa.
The wise one.
It would have been gone. But that's what's crazy. I remember on Tumblr, the lip tattoos were so popular.
Maybe
in
it
the
was just a
mid-2000s.
fad. I don't know.
They
But
rub off though. You end up
my
eating all
parents
the
would have been
ink.
mortified.
Yeah. Not
I
good.
didn't even have a tattoo. I have plenty now, but I didn't even have one then. And
Yeah, mom and dad would not have been happy going home with swamp donkey tat inside the mouth.
F6.
Another music connection for you is Kesha and your pregame dances. Where did those begin and how and why? They were playing Kesha before the game actually today, and I was like, oh, I can't wait to talk to Soupy.
I hadn't heard TikTok in a while. I was like, yes,
Yeah.
go Kesha.
Yeah.
It was pumping.
I feel like you're connecting dots. I was just very much like not a very like serious competitor. When the puck dropped, I was intense and mean, but in the locker room, right up until puck drop, I was like a locker room clown.
The entertainer.
Dancing, clearly like first time I meet Tessa, sing to her in a Shakira voice. Like, who am I? So yeah, Kesha was always got the room going. And so TikTok, I think it was. And Jenner thought that she got comedy out of the lack of dance moves and the lack of my gracefulness. And so she's like, show us your best. And I'd be fist pumping and doing all these really obnoxious moves.
I heard there was a lot of air punching.
Yeah, air punching.
The master of the air punch.
Full, yeah.
You and Cheryl Pounder are the master of the air punchers. Poundy loves air punching. She's like an air puncher. Poundy likes the
Now that you say that, I'm like, yeah, she actually does.
she punches air all
Oh,
of
yeah.
the time.
So true.
My
Sorry, you gotta-
sister has like the most beautiful little girls now, my nieces, and the 4-year-old. She's got a lot of great dance moves, but she pulls that one out sometimes, and I'm like, oh God bless her. You got
It's in the DNA.
some of my. It's in the DNA.
Straight in the DNA. Was your mom an air puncher?
Keep all the rest. Get rid of that move. That's not the one you want to bring into college.
Yeah. Never worked for you, hey, out at the bars?
Well, hey, actually, funny story about college. I graduated Cornell with now a brother-in-law, a husband for my sister, not for myself, for my sister.
No, what?
Yeah.
Go on.
Another freshman for the men's team. I set my sister up with him post-college, and now they're married. One day, the rest is history.
Wow.
What made you think they were right?
Well, I know this is totally backtracking, but just funny hockey stories because my sister's checklist, like the perfect man was, smart, funny, tall, handsome, strong, athletic, in a hockey, good person, all these values. And yeah, he was pre-med on the hockey team. great human. Went to the library together, ate with him at lunch. I was like, all the things. So
Yeah.
post
Good
college.
eye.
Yeah, you are so awesome. I would not like to date you, but I would like to set you up with my sister. Like, how did that convo go? You know what I mean? And he was probably crushing. Let's
No,
be
he
honest.
brought it up.
He
No, he
did.
brought it up because we were just good. We just were like brother and sister early on. And he,
Okay.
never forget it. He back when people really just lived on Facebook, not Instagram.
Right.
I changed my profile pictures, me and my sister. And he's like, is this your sister? When she comes to town or when she comes to visit, introduce me. And of course that didn't happen for my sister came once senior year. He had a girlfriend. And then I asked about the girlfriend post college when we were catching up. He's like, oh no, we're done and broke up a week ago. I'm like,
A week ago. That's
oopsie.
enough time.
oopsie, if you want to come meet my sister, come to Calgary. And he's like, oh yeah, for sure. And he did. While I was at Four Nations, they went on a blind date and watched our game at Four Nations.
Oh my gosh. That's actually a great love story. I hope you got lots of shout outs at that
It
wedding.
was the most fun wedding because it was like my family and then my Cornell friends. Haley was the MC and Jenner was selling beer tickets
oh my gosh.
at my sister's wedding.
That's so fun.
The most like reputable person at the wedding is selling the
Beer
tickets.
Um,
She embraced it. It was
so is
awesome.
this your side hustle, like matchmaking?
Yeah, pretty much.
Nice.
That's fair. You look at what the PWHL has right now, and it's like it's so cool because it truly is set up like a
Mhm.
pro league. Like they got the gear, they got the equipment managers, they got people telling them how and when to stretch. They got all the fun little Normatec things for their legs and back helper things and whatever. They got all the stuff that I never had either. But if you look back to when you played against BU in the Frozen Four, you guys had like what? No equipment manager, no apparel. You basically just showed up in what? Red tracksuits?
Yeah, all red Santa suits. So we called them. Yeah, and they were Nike Bauer. Like they were returned and then given back to the next class the next year and ordered a
you
couple
didn't even get
more.
to keep them?
No. And honestly, I remember like buying certain things at the team store that I thought were cool because we weren't like giving them. And the Ivy Leagues were a little bit, I think, less giving. I don't know how they are now. I'm sure they did evened out a lot more and I sure hope. But yeah, like bought a lot of our own stuff and
What?
yeah, segued well into then the next chapter of the CWHL because
Right.
unless you got it from Hockey Canada,
You didn't get
equipment
it.
gear-wise, you didn't get it at all.
That's crazy. Let's talk about your time in
Crazy.
the C-Dub because you had some fun. Like you played with Calgary Inferno, you mentioned, you gave them a shout out. You guys were awesome and good, whatever, yada, yada, yada. You guys beat up probably on the Toronto Furies a lot. Your brother played in Calgary as well, so probably like a pretty cool full circle moment for you.
Yeah, when we played at the Saddle Dome, we had a couple of just games there. It was pretty cool, but there wasn't the fans.
Right.
You know, like it was never marketed correctly. It was never promoted quick enough, or really the resources weren't put in to promote it. So it was like, yeah, sure, it's cool to play an NHL rank, but when there's no fans,
What's the point?
what's the
It's
point?
just echoey. Yeah.
Which today was like surreal to experience. Like for me, when I talked to the Boston girls before and even Montreal, I'm like, I get more emotional talking to the girls and nervous talking to the girls because I'm like, it acts as like a whole nother like category of emotions for me of having like lived it and to see it actually like see them like come through it and now getting the deserving stage and platform to live it out. It's insane. It's awesome.
So many keeping up with the Kardashian costume parties have passed to end up here, right?
Do you have those photos? Have you seen those photos?
Well, we will get them.
Was it exclusively keeping up with the Kardashians theme? Like you had to be a Kardashian?
No. Nope. What was that team party? A rookie party or Halloween? Must have been Halloween. I hope it was Halloween.
Or
Yeah.
just a Tuesday. We don't know.
Who did I have?
We're not
Who did
here
we
to
have
judge.
in our group? For sure, me and Blair. I think we had like the cast with us. I can't even remember who was in our whole family, but we had them all. We even had Caitlin.
No way.
We had Caitlin with us. Ugh.
And was it
Those
like a
pictures are
competition or
cringy.
is it just like you guys decided to rock the house and
We thought it would be hilarious to show up, and also like we were kind of going out to actual bars later that night, and so it was like, let's find things that we can like kind of like dissect and put something on and still like have our hair done.
right?
Blair and I were being strategic without Bailey Bram, and you got to get the real pictures of this. Sarah and Bailey went as toy soldiers, covered in spray painted green, And they were the best costumes. Like Kardashians didn't keep up at all.
Like G.I. Joes?
They hid in the corner, yeah. Like toy soldiers, and they froze and they just would like stage themselves around the kitchen, and then you would just catch them hiding. It was the funniest thing ever. And knowing both of their personalities, like they went for it. And Bailey had this little tiny helmet on, and her whole body was green.
Oh my gosh, guys! I know that the CWHL was like it was a grind, but the stories I hear, you guys had a lot of fun.
C-Dub was probably the most fun league I've ever played in, and I went to Ohio State. Okay, I had a lot of fun. C-Dub was just a whole other level of fun.
The C-Dub, one memory I tell, because a lot of, even now talking with like the guys I coached, like, what was it like playing? Like when your last year you played pro, like what was that like? And I'm like, a very vivid memory for me, which is another testament how far we've come, was obviously as a Calgary Inferno, we were kind of in partnership with Calgary, with the Flames. And I thought it was really, branded well together, as
they
all
were.
the teams were pretty well done.
I like that
think.
logo too.
Yeah. But part of us, like, I don't know when the agreement was made or why or how or what was the benefit on either side, but we had to go sell 50-50 tickets at the Flames game. Like Bailey and I put on the aprons. I'm not kidding you. It happened.
Did they identify you as players at
Oh
least?
yeah, we had our jerseys on.
Oh my God.
And then the apron on top. And it was like, to me, that's such a like clear picture for me of what my life was like as a professional women's hockey player.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure we were in some way, or we were being compensated for, I think, team travel or something was, in return for us doing that. But I'll never forget, Bailey and I, they're like, okay, put the crazy ones like on the suite level to go talk to everybody. So Bailey and I are like, sure, we'll go in there. So we went into the booths and they're like, so who are you guys? And we're like marketing and telling like who we were in terms of our team and our schedule. We're handing out schedules. We're selling 50-50. And it's really sad. But like at the same time, we can laugh about it because we're like, this is kind of the state of which like we are. This is like, this is the national team. You're literally like Calgary. We had like maybe 2 players not on the national team there. And so we're like, the product is Team Canada, but like we don't have the marketing and promotion for teams to know about it.
That's what women's hockey has been before this. It was just all of the players hitting the pavement, just doing their best, playing and
competing,
and doing their best to like promote themselves, their teammates, and the league that they were in at whatever time it was, which is wild to think.
Yeah.
What about playing in Europe? Like, what was the pro experience like then?
Oh my gosh, you guys, my experience in Sweden is actually a really funny one.
Oh, I can't wait.
Because it doesn't actually make sense. So anybody who like actually goes and looks like Jessica Campbell's playing career doesn't really understand, or I don't think it makes sense. So I ended up in Malmö, Sweden in a very unique situation. Peter Erlander.
Peter Dealer, no way.
Peter came up to me. I was recruiting in Europe. I was coaching back in the Okanagan. He came up to me and he was like, I'll keep some of the details out of the story, but he was like, hey, you should come out to Sweden. I worked with Peter briefly in power skating in the Okanagan. And so he knew what I was doing as a skating coach. Now I was done playing for 2 years. And he approached me and was like, you should come out to Sweden and you can coach the junior team in Malmö. And I was like, I went to World Championships in Malmö, it was 2015. So I was like familiar with Malmö, weird enough. And I'm like, oh, really? I was like, okay. And I was just starting, I was getting into the path of like, how do I either leave this hockey academy that I was coaching to like have bigger and greater opportunities to kind of expand myself, or like not necessarily even get into this level or onto this path, but just to grow. And so it was very intriguing. So I was like, oh, I could coach in junior team or be a full-time skating coach to a junior team for the rest of this hockey season. He's like, but there's a crutch in it. Like you have to play, I don't know, it's like 8 games or something for the women's team to help them try to qualify for the top division. And I'm like, you lost me on coming out of retirement to play, Peter.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, like it's a second division. It'll be fun. It'll be great. You'll do great. And then he was like, and you're probably going to get opportunities with the pro team as well while you're there. And I was like, oh, okay, wait, now we're like talking. So like he convinced me into doing it.
Guess I'm going to the gym.
And I got to bring literally, I was like, time to go do some more sprints. I'm just like running marathon pace, just keeping like, my steps in and coaching. And so I did it. And in getting the opportunity to coach with the team I was coaching all morning, and then I would practice with the team a couple times like a week, and then we'd play the games. And yeah, crazy enough, like after 2-3 weeks there, COVID hit shortly after, like 2 months later, that's when COVID hit, 2020 in March. I went home with a full 2-year contract from the pro team, and I was supposed to go back to Sweden. So it was like, I said, when I quit my job and left, I was like, 3 months of this, I have no clue what's going to come of it. My dad and I got in the biggest fight of my life, didn't speak. And I was like, it was crazy. I'm like, I'm quitting my job. I'm moving to Sweden. I have no plan after that, other than I'm going to hopefully coach a junior team, run a camp in Sweden, and potentially get opportunities with the pro team. And I'm going to play these 8 hockey games.
8, yeah.
But they're going to match my salary. And then after that, I don't know. I'm going to launch my business. And my dad was, no, you can't leave a job if you don't have a job. Very like traditional mindset. And yeah, so I did it. And that little like playing stint actually like catapulted my coaching career.
Yeah. Like when did the NHL come in? Like when did that become a dream for you?
Yeah. So shortly after when I returned back from Sweden, this is now March 2020. Obviously the world shut down for at least like 1 to 2 months where everyone was radio silence. At that point I got back and I was like, oh no, now what? Because like really I had left my job and COVID was a scary time.
No, don't let my dad be right.
Yes, literally. And like all the contracts were frozen. So they're like, okay, though you like sign this contract, everything's frozen and like it's not happening now. So I was like really, concerned. But at that point when I was in Sweden, I was full on developing my brand, my skating business, launched, like basically built my website, everything. I was kind of had a whole plan for the summer to launch, to kick off and just fully like build my JC Power Skating business. So that was the plan. But then the world stopped, right? So the rinks were all closed. So I just had time to really like put into like marketing, messaging, and then really like build my model and approach. And odd enough, that's when it all changed. And COVID was the best thing for me because though the ice had shut, or I guess the local and the public arena shut down, there was a family-owned arena that once the rules were lifted and we could be in small groups, like 4 to 6, that family was like, hey, can you come skate our kids? And then I was out there. They had a bunch of ice. They're like, it's to weird times right now. So we'd rather like, if you have more opportunities to rent the ice for small groups, we'd rather it just be you here and nobody else. So I was renting the ice out and having small groups. So I started working. And then I got a text from Damon Severson, who was playing at the time with the New Jersey Devils. And that's when they announced that the NHL bubble was going to be a thing, or the playoff bubble. So the players were then all like, oh boy, we got to get ourselves back going. And the Okanagan was a hot spot for a lot of the NHL players. Just that's where they live in the off season. So I was skating a few junior guys, and Damon knew I was coming back from Sweden because we grew up together in Melville Millionaire Town. Shout out to the millionaires.
And the billionaires.
Damon and I grew up together. And he's like, hey, Jess, do you have ice? Can I come skate with you? Getting myself back in gear. And they weren't even a playoff team. So I don't know why he was trying to get back on the ice. But so he did. And he brought out Joel Edmondson. At the time, I think Reimer was in the net. It was like 2-3 guys. We skated. And he was like, that was a great skate. Tomorrow, can these guys come out? And honestly, it went from 4 guys to 20 guys. Like I had Shea Weber, Seabrook, Barzell. Everybody was on the ice. The Shen brothers. And then when the rinks opened up, Brent Seabrook hired me privately to do, help him rehab his skating. And then I was running their team training sessions. So I was no longer doing power skating or skills with them. I was just running their practices. And at that point, that's when I was like, I remember Brent saying to me, like, you're going to coach in the NHL. You're going to get an opportunity.
Brent was the first one that gave you props, right? I think Luke commented on the types of drills. He was like, I've never seen drills like this before. Like, where are you getting these?
Yeah. Some of the older guys, because we had a blend of like the younger guys and then the older veteran guys. And Luke Shen, I remember after our first skate, because I came up with all my own drills, especially like the D drills. Like I wasn't a defenseman. So, I kind of came up with a skill concept of what I wanted. Let's just call it retrievals, and then built it into more of a progressional, actual flow style drill. And so they had never done my drills. And he's like, are these your drills? These are great. And then I just kept rolling with it and kept building on it. And it was really cool because once we once the rules were lifted and they were able to all get on the ice together in groups of 20. That was going for about 2 months before playoffs and the bubble actually started. Luke won the cup that year too, which was super cool with Tampa. And yeah, I was just like really honored because when they asked me, hey, can you keep running our skates? The guys love it, but now it's going to be 20 guys and, you know, we'll do some skills, we'll do some flow, and then we'll play some small area games. And at that point I was like, okay, I'm running an NHL training camp. And so in ways like that time was so pivotal because I knew my approach, I knew my model, I knew my stuff. I was like just ready to get after it and do it. And had I not taken that leap of faith and literally quit my job, went to Sweden, then come back, it wouldn't have happened.
I always say this, listen to your parents' kids because up to a certain point, they know everything. But in your gut, which is what you had, if you know that the universe is pushing you somewhere, trust it.
Yep.
And I feel like that's what you did.
Yeah, I sat in a Starbucks drive-thru and I called Bailey Bram. It's one of my best friends. And I was crying and I'm like, I'm going to quit my job today. And she's like cheering me on to do it because she just knew that she's like, you got more in you. You got something bigger ahead of you. Like, just do it and see what happens. And yeah, when it happened, it was on my 27th birthday in June. And the guys were starting to trickle off to the bubble. And I was like, oh my God, I had no plans on my birthday. I was running all these sessions and I'm like, this is the best birthday ever. I'm running a full-on NHL camp right now. And this is everything I want to be doing. But they gave me permission to believe in getting to this level. Like, honestly, people are like, when did you dream of coaching in the NHL? I'm like, I didn't. The guys gave me permission to believe in it.
And that's so cool.
Yeah.
And it's cool because you had the guys who kind of, I don't want to say gave you permission because you were always allowed to, but they allowed it to be within grasp. You know what I
100%.
mean? Like, oh, I knew I could do this, but like now I know I can do this.
Right.
Like, you guys love my drills. You came to me. You got more to come to me. You guys are having fun. You're doing it. But then you had your pals, your besties, and Bailey Bram, Blair Turnbull, Jill Saunier, all those ladies cheering you on as you were doing it, which is pretty cool. So what did it mean on your first home game here to have them all in-house just like cheering you on? Because when I had reached out to a bunch of them, Brammer in particular, Jill Saunier, Turnbull, all of them, the first thing they mentioned was coming here for you and like how important that was to them to be here for you. So what, on the flip side, what was that like for you and just knowing who showed up for you?
Oh my God. Honestly, like I've never been married, so I don't know what a wedding day's like, but I've experienced them and it's like the happiest feeling ever. And you're surrounded by so many people with just happiness. And that's what it felt like. It felt like my hockey wedding day. And my parents were there, obviously. And my, dad's best friend was my first minor league hockey coach. They were there. And then my hockey girls, from every like chapter, like my high school billet sister that I played with at college that ended up going to Maine. She was just left yesterday. She was here for the week. Like Brooklyn was here from like almost that chapter of my life. And then Alyssa Goulardi from my Cornell days, and Jill obviously blended into that world as well. And then Bailey and Blair and a childhood best friend that I played boys hockey against and shared literally the janitor's room with. And we still laugh about those days when we grew up playing against each other. Like every friend, which I texted them all and said, you guys want to come down? Like, I'm going to get a handful of tickets, but I just really want it to be like a meaningful, tight group with my family and my best friends to be there because it's going to be a big day. And I invited them, and literally I got a response from Blair. I think it was like, our tickets are already booked. So like they had already started a group chat and planned and booked their flights. And so I'm like, wait, what? Do you guys have tickets? They're like, no, but our flights are booked.
Yeah.
And honestly, I started crying. Because I was like, so like, there's few moments in your life where you like really, maybe I shouldn't say few moments in your life, but for me, it was so clear in my moment, like who my people were cheering me on there for me. And just like, they had already booked their flights. They wouldn't miss it. And so, yeah, it was surreal.
That's so cool.
We've seen you have a couple special moments behind the bench with little girls in the crowd.
friendship bracelets have been a theme on our show because Tessa's kind of the friendship bracelet Grinch. Sorry, I call you that, but I have to give context. She loves giving. She doesn't want to give them away because people make. Yeah,
I like getting them.
Yeah.
I'm a receiver of the bracelet.
I have one for you.
Do you? Oh, we have some for you too.
Yeah. See, we've been making them, so now she's comfortable giving them away. You got to make them to give them away, so that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
We saw a friendship bracelet exchange with a little girl. This all inspired by Taylor Swift, obviously. Are you a bit of a Swiftie? We've heard that she got you through a tough breakup during centralization.
Wasn't centralization. It was at a training camp. I'm pretty sure Team Canada training camp. You played We'll Never Get Back Together, whatever the song is.
Is that the
Do
one?
you remember this? Or
That's the song. We are never ever getting back together. That one
I'm
got
a
you
total
through?
Swiftie.
Yeah. Oh, you are. Nice.
I mean, who isn't now? Like, come on.
I know everybody's
yeah.
on the train now. It's kind of like, oh, there's
I know,
so many
but I was
people
a
on
day
board.
one. Like,
Me
I
too.
knew all the lyrics to every, original album. Oh man, those are my Cornell days. Anybody who knew me during Cornell was like, she's obsessed with Taylor Swift. Obsessed. But yes, definitely inspired by the Swiftie movement, the friendship bracelets. It started because a little girl in Dallas, like I think maybe game 5 into the season, this little girl came behind the bench and she made her little reel, and it was like going to my first NHL game with her mom and going to see Coach Campbell to give out friendship bracelet. And I got like tagged in it after the fact, but she came to the bench during warmups, or always 30 minutes before puck drop behind the bench, and she's knocking on the glass. And I was out there with our head coach, Dan, and I think he was even touched by it. And it was a really cool moment, and one of those like pinch me moments that, my first year coaching the NHL, I'm kind of collecting these little moments, big moments, but memorable ones. And it was one of those where, Dan's like, that little girl's trying to get your attention. I look and she's got a little sign, and her mom's like teary-eyed, and like she's got these bracelets and they're adorable. Like these ones are really well done. They're cracking colors. They have a number 8 on them. And then there's 2 of them. And then the other one, oh my gosh, what does it even say? It's just like, it's Run the World, JC. And it was just really cute. And she threw them over and they went all the way on the ice. Oh, she chopped them. They landed on the ice. Montour skates over, and Jamie Alexiak, you know how big Jamie Alexiak, he's huge, big rig. They almost skate over them. And the guys literally stop in the middle of their warmups, take their gloves off, grab them, bring them over. And they're like, these are for you. And like save the bracelets.
Aww.
So then at that point I was like, you know what? Like I see all these little girls behind the bench, and sometimes you can't even like access them. You can't say anything, but I'm like, this is like going to be the coolest way to kind of just like keep interacting and spreading, the word and the love. So
that's so cool. I dig it. You also inspired, I feel like you were one of the OGs. And because I feel like I started to be one of the first ones to like truly wear makeup to the rink.
My 2010 Olympic memory is Tessa's eyeliner.
Cool.
Oh yeah.
That's great.
You always looked great.
But I feel like you, Spooner, Kelly Terry, K-Ter, shout out to you. Thanks for some of this info. Really inspired the walk-ins, like getting glammed. You always have like different... K-Ter was like, she's always got like different hair. Like that girl's always doing her hair.
Yeah.
But do you feel like you inspired this whole generation of like walk-ins and walk-in fits and stuff like that? Because like you were one of the OGs.
Gosh.
I didn't realize that it was frowned upon originally in women's hockey. It was like, no, wear your tracksuit, look like the team. I didn't realize that it was kind of a thing that you had to push through.
I don't know that it was frowned upon. It was just something that was never really done before.
Yeah, it's not done on our side. Like guys wear their suits, and obviously I wear my suits, but it's like, I think the cool thing about the league, and I definitely don't think I inspired it. I think I've always just tried to authentically show up as myself. And kind of like you said, like wearing makeup makes you feel good and play good, or just feel your best. Like wear the makeup. Who cares? If you want to dye your hair blonde or black or whatever, like do your hair however you want. Like or go flow down or put
Don't
it back.
go flow down. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
I don't condone it. I just did it.
Unless you had the Tessa cut, and you can do the headband back.
do the Betty Boop. Don't do the Julia sweaty neck hair.
Yeah.
Carry on.
But yeah, I just think that's like the cool thing about right now. I think the individualism and just authentically portrayals of everyone has their own personality. And you see it across every other pro league except really like hockey. You look at like basketball and even football, or like their travel fits are like super cool and casual, but they're like so well curated. Yeah. So like I'm a big believer, and even now I think in the position that I'm in, I'm like, there's going to be chatter and talks no matter what I do, no matter what I say, no matter what I do, no matter if the team wins a cup or doesn't win a cup, makes playoff, doesn't. There's going to be chatter and there's going to be talk. So like, might as well just be yourself and let them talk anyways.
Yeah.
You know, and show up authentic to yourself. So I think like what the girls do for their whole little walk-ins, like some I love more than others, but
we'll need to get the full ranking from you eventually.
yeah, I could probably give my rankings. Yeah.
Of the best dress. Okay, we need that eventually in addition to your power play consultation for the league. But Jess, thank you for showing up authentically as yourself all the time at this rink. It's done a lot for women in hockey. Thanks for coming on the Jocks and Jills podcast. Again, this
Thanks
was
for having me.
Sponsored by Bravado Designs, our interview with Jess Campbell. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys. You're welcome.